The 5th of August 1971 is the actual date that the Act of Parliament was passed to form the new harbour-wide conservancy. This new authority managed the Chichester Harbour area as a whole, and prior to this the harbour was managed by two local authorities, Chichester City and the Havant and Waterloo Urban District Council. There was already a harbour master and team based here in Itchenor, and they were already in the house here. Now this used to be one of the homes for the Haynes family, who had a lot of boating interests in the harbour. The building to start with was shared with the police, and the Sussex Police had a team based here in Chichester Harbour, and they had a dedicated boat, and it was called the Norfolk.
Chichester Harbour Conservancy is the statutory port authority for Chichester Harbour. We're unique in the UK, as Chichester Harbour is also designated an area of outstanding natural beauty. Our responsibilities are wide and far-ranging. We are the lighthouse authority for Chichester Harbour, responsible of course to Trinity House. We maintain the aids to navigation, the navigation buoys within the harbour. Our primary directives as a harbour or port authority is to comply with the Port Marine Safety Code and ensure that all of our harbour users, from kayakers, paddleboarders, dinghy sailors, club members, yachts, motorboats, are all first and foremost enjoying the harbour in a safe way. As the Port Authority for Chichester, we are also part of wider bodies such as the Solent and Southern Harbour Masters Association and of course the UK Harbour Masters Association, which works with all harbours across the UK, from big container ports to smaller fishing harbours, and also ones like ourselves that are primarily recreational.
The mud and water area of Chichester Harbour covers 11 square miles, and within that area the Conservancy has on records over 3,000 moorings. We have a member of staff dedicated to managing those moorings, and that's Jeff here.
I'm responsible for the issuing of licences across the harbour and also the liaison with our mooring holders. We have a number of different types of moorings within the harbour. We have maintained moorings, which are moorings that we actually look after, and every year we'll do a maintenance plan around them and we'll make sure that they're all fit for purpose. We have private moorings on our land where someone can apply to me for a licence to have a mooring, but they're responsible for looking after that mooring. They're responsible for the maintenance and for making sure that it's appropriate and the vessel they put on is appropriate. And thirdly, we have private moorings on private land. So the individual owns the land, but because they want to put a boat on it, we still have to licence that mooring. So we will then issue a licence for that private mooring on that private land.
This is one of our ex-navigation marks that's currently up at Dell Quay. We lift and maintain them on a service schedule on a routine basis. In addition to maintaining the navigation marks, I have a team of technicians alongside me in the workshop who are responsible for maintaining both the infrastructure and the Conservancy vessels. We have a well-equipped workshop where we are capable of maintaining these vessels. We do woodwork, metalwork and rope work. So I'm just up at Dell Quay at the moment, just checking the condition of the pontoon we have there, just checking the condition of the jetty bolts. This is part of our monthly infrastructure check, just to make sure that none of these bolts are coming loose, and the general condition of the jetty, which is all looking good.
So the harbour entrance is defined on the chart by a line drawn between the East Stoke buoy, which you can see here, and the spire on the church at West Wittering. Now this line designates the end of the harbour limit and where the 8-knot speed limit comes to a finish. The Harbour Authority does look after navigation marks outside of this area into Hayling Bay. We have Barbeacon and West Pole, which are the leading marks for the harbour entrance. Okay, so we're out in Hayling Bay on a relatively calm day over the Chichester Bar today. This is the Barbeacon that we've come up to now. As you leave the harbour, this is the first aid navigation that you come across. Originally, this was the first one that you came to as you approached the harbour. But as the years went by, the Chichester Bar, which is a large area of deposited shingle, was getting further and further out into Hayling Bay, and it was decided that a further mark needed to be placed further out. Originally, a temporary buoy was put into position, but over time it was then decided that a more permanent fixture was needed, and that then became the West Pole beacon that we know today. This is the point where vessels that were accessing the wider Solent would turn and shape up to the west towards the Isle of Wight and Portsmouth and ultimately Southampton and beyond. The pole here has a couple of functions really. It marks the safe water area that boats can use to access the harbour. It also provides an excellent place to mount a weather station. This is ChiMet on here, which is part of the Solent Met weather station group. Here we're monitoring wind speed, tidal height, wave periodicity, air temperature, sea temperature. And this data is all publicly available and available online, along with all the historical archives as well. And we've got another weather station within the harbour, which is Cambermet, part of the same group. But we look after this one. We service and look after the weather station, the navigation light, and indeed the mark itself.
Whilst Richard Craven is the harbour master for Chichester Harbour, we also have two members of staff that work in locations around the harbour representing Richard in their area. In Emsworth we have Brendon McCallum.
So here at Emsworth I look after the slipways at Emsworth, Norbarn and Prinstead. I'm also responsible for the moorings and looking after the safety of all the harbour users in this area. I also run a ferry service here for the Conservancy mooring holders, and I can charge a small fee for private mooring holders to take them out to their boats. I can do this 2 hours either side of high water on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday or a bank holiday Monday. I've been working here since the middle of May. Come end of October I will be working with the workshop team based at Itchenor, maintaining all the moorings around the harbour and occasionally coming back to Emsworth to check on the facilities here. I've spent all my working life within the marine industry. The last 10 years I've been working part-time on the patrol team during the summer season.
So my colleague who is the representative for Richard Craven in Bosham is Rowena Judd, and her role is known as Bosham Keymaster.
So I'm based in Bosham between April and the end of October, and my key responsibilities are to provide information and assistance to all the harbour users and to the mooring holders down the Bosham Channel. In the winter months I transfer over to the Itchenor office and I join the workshop team, where the main winter job is maintaining the moorings around the harbour. So I'm barge crew and we also update any infrastructure.
So in order to cover our duties fully, our harbour team, we have a much bigger pool of staff during the summer where our seasonal patrol staff are here, and they are patrolling the harbour 7 days a week throughout the 7-month summer season, April through to October. We also have a pool of full-time staff, predominantly made up of our workshop team, who work using our barge to service navigation marks, moorings, jetties, pontoons, slipways, all the infrastructure that make up part of the wider harbour.
This summer on the patrol team we have Lizzie and we have Will, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their role here.
I, for the past few years, have been a dinghy instructor up at Dalkey Sailing Club, and as part of that, one of our chief instructors recommended me to Phil Walker, who's the lead patrol officer here. So I've kind of been applying for the past couple of years. The first year I was too young, so tried again the next year. But then I came down and had an interview and that all went well, so I've ended up here. But my background is very much dinghies and kind of teaching with dinghies and everything dinghies, so it's quite interesting to come here and see kind of the different side of the harbour. We do a lot more dealing with yachts here, which is obviously very different but still exciting.
Our main job is enforcing our bylaws, which include speeders, dangerous actions, as well as collect harbour dues, so fees for being in the harbour. We collect those at East Head and the other anchorages, as well as collect the moorings overnight. Part of my role is maintaining this lovely area and helping people to answer their questions, helping people that have perhaps broken down, and also protecting some of the wildlife, stopping people from dragging, fishing for oysters, etc. Just to really keep it a nice area.
This summer's completely not been what we expected at all. After last year with it being really busy with all boaters all the year round, this year it's been not as nice weather, so less people coming down. Although we have noticed a lot more paddleboarders and kayaks this year, particularly people coming down on their boat and then having their paddleboard with them. So a lot of what we've spent this summer doing is teaching people to paddleboard in a safe way, bearing in mind kind of winds and tides that often catch people out. But it's been a really good year so far, and we hope it will continue.
So next month we're going to go out and about around the harbour, having a look at some of the environmental projects that have been taking place over the 50 years since the Conservancy was brought into being.